Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Paul Pogba to PSG, Juventus, Real Madrid, anywhere but Manchester United. That's the breaking news this morning. Paul Pogba is apparently checked out. It's interesting because we'll talk about that. That is very much the headline this lunchtime. But I was always going to do a video of Pogba versus Bruno anyway, which is what we're going to incorporate into this. We've also got our big announcement for the membership club, so hang by for that. If you want to be a member, click the join button, support the channel. But we've got some exclusive, exciting content coming up for you on a weekly basis now on there. But look, yeah, Pogba against Bruno, what we're going to lose against what we've just given a new contract to. How do they compare? And I think we're gonna basically signpost what should have happened at this football club with Pogba and Bruno, which we'll never see now. And ultimately, I think it's going to be quite interesting. I think you can almost walk out of this and say we're losing the better player. Some people would think that anyway, but I think over the last couple of years, there has been this running debate about Pogba versus Bruno. I actually think that they should have been moulded into the same team better. We've never done it. What are we losing? What are we going to keep? We'll do the head-to-head. But first of all, headline Manchester Evening News this morning saying that Paul Pogba is effectively gone from Manchester United. This is coming from dressing room sources. And that PSG have put an offer in, more than Man United apparently, which I just find weird. But Pogba's preference may well be Juventus. Real Madrid don't seem to be in the equation at the moment. Look, it's slow sports news. As I said this morning, it's slow sports news. Paul Pogba to leave Manchester United. It's slow sports news. We know this. In 2019 is when we should have sold him. That's when he wanted to go. United said there's not a good enough offer. We're going to get nothing for him now. And what has he done in them 3 years that we've kept him? He's probably been injured for half of that. So United, two things from United that really embarrasses about this. One, we let Pogba go about 10 years ago for nothing to Juventus. We spent £90 million to bring him back. And we're going to lose him again for nothing. And he's not even 30. So the money we've wasted on Paul Pogba over the last 10 years, not to mention the talent on the pitch we've wasted as well, is just unbelievable. In any other football club, this would be a headline of incompetence, but United are very good at hiding this. Very embarrassing. The second point that probably doesn't get mentioned as much is the fact that this story this morning says that PSG have put an offer in for Paul Pogba, which is actually less than what Man United have offered him, which I find incredible. What have we offered Paul Pogba? Because PSG are not paying a transfer fee. So if PSG are offering Pogba less than we're offering, remember they're getting him for free. So what should happen is instead of paying £50 million for a player and 350 grand a week, they're paying no money. So they could actually give him 500 grand a week because the 50 million they're saving by not spending it on him. This is embarrassing for Manchester United that we are still putting an offer on the table that is more than PSG or very, very close to it. Under what terms and on what planets does Paul Pogba justify as putting a ridiculous offer on the table? Maybe it's 400 grand a week, maybe it's 450 grand a week. What has Paul Pogba done on the pitch in the last 6 years or 6 months or 2 years to justify 400 grand a week? It's just a brand deal, isn't it? It's brand Paul Pogba that United want to keep, or is it saving face? Who runs this football club? We know. What sort of decisions are they still making? I mean, does anybody actually look at the footballing side of thing and say, Paul Pogba's not delivered over the last 6 years anywhere near the level we wanted? And we've got to take responsibility for that as well as I think Pogba's got to do as well. But why would you offer a player 400 grand a week? He doesn't justify it. Last couple of seasons, he's missed nearly half of them injured. Very few good performances. And I think Pogba's a really good player, and we're going to see when we go head-to-head in a minute. But I think it's just overall embarrassing, and ultimately, I don't actually have any ill will to Paul Pogba, Mino Raiola, or anybody involved in removing Pogba. I think it shows an ambition. Whether he goes to PSG, Real Madrid, or Juventus, we're not going to be playing any of them teams next season, are we? We're not going to be in the Champions League. So, Paul Pogba, fair play. He's run his contract down. United have embarrassed themselves again. We think we're bad on the pitch. We're an embarrassment off the pitch and have been for 9 years. And this is just another example of it. And maybe United are trying to chuck money at the problem to make themselves not look foolish again. But I would say to Paul Pogba, resist the money and follow the path for your career, because United aren't going to offer you a career, and we've not done that for the last 6 years. I think Paul Pogba's got to take some responsibility, of course, but Man United haven't helped themselves. And the hilarious thing is, why are we offering Paul Pogba 400 grand a week when he hasn't even got a place in the team? He's been on the left, he's been on the right, he's been CDM, he's been box to box. He hasn't even got a starting position, and we want to make him one of the highest paid players in the clubs. Ridiculous. Anyway, let's look at what we're missing compared to what we're keeping, which is Bruno against Pogba. It's the big head-to-head we're going to look at here. And I think it's going to be very interesting because it hits with that headline. Pogba's going. Bruno signed the new contract 3 days ago, or 4 days ago now. How close are they? Some people think Pogba's better than Bruno. Let's look at that. And let me just say before we start, Members Club is the time. If you want to become a member, click the join button or the link in the video description. You get your little badge next to your name in the chat. You get some perks. The community tab is, we've got a new exclusive post for members. You can vote on something which is now going to be exclusively for members only on the channel. That is our head-to-head series. Love it. A lot of people like it, but to be honest with you, it's hard to find a spot for it in the week because we're not going to change any content. If you don't want to be a member, that's fine. You're still going to get your morning show, your 8 o'clock show, your afternoon shows as well. So head-to-head content is going to go on our members club now, exclusively for our members as a little thank you. But you can vote on what we're going to do, and you can do that on the community tab as well. You can vote on what head-to-heads you want. Loads of people have said, can you compare De Gea to a really good sweeper keeper like Edison, which we're going to do. You can compare Bruno to Nkunku. We can look at comparing transfers, like we can really deep dive Darwin Nunez against somebody like Jonathan David. So we're going to be putting these up each week for you on the members section, so you're getting something as well as supporting the channel. So if you want to become a member, click the join button, and our next head-to-head, which you can vote for through the community tab, which you go on the homepage, go community. We've put 5 options there for you to vote for the next one for the members. So thank you very much for supporting the channel. As I said, if you don't want to, you're still going to get all the content you get. This is going to be bonus content as a thank you for you. And as an extra bonus, we're considering bringing the chart show back as part of the members exclusive content as well. So it's a thank you to everyone who supports the channel. And of course, by supporting the channel, you're helping it grow and moving us into areas and content and some really exciting stuff that's coming up over the next couple of months as well, which we'll be able to reveal to you very soon as well. So let's dive into this. If you want to become a member, click the join button, but let's go head to head. Let's have a look. Paul Pogba against Bruno Fernandes. Who comes out on top? Well, interestingly, on assists in the Premier League this season, and remember I'm getting my stats here from Y-Scout, so there will be some variance on different things. There always are on stat sites. But Paul Pogba's got more assists than Bruno Fernandes this season. Bruno's got more goals. I think he's got something like 9-1 or something like that. But Paul Pogba, considering he's been injured for a large proportion of this season, has actually contributed more assists than Bruno Fernandes. Now look, Bruno Fernandes, I think over the last 2 years in the Premier League, he's made more key passes than anybody in the league. No one's taken anything away from Bruno. My overarching helicopter view on these two players straight away is that I don't think Bruno's one of my favourite players, and I do like Pogba. Pogba's not delivered over the 6 years the way I wanted him to. Bruno's not delivered this season like I wanted him to. I was getting some abuse this morning about, saying something negative about Bruno Fernandes, saying Odegaard's had a better season at Arsenal, but he has. I want what's best for Manchester United. I have favourite players, but to be honest with you, if they don't play well, they'll get called out. I've done it with Martial, I've done it with Rashford, and I've done it with Bruno this season. I feel like Bruno's big problem is going to be highlighted if and when we get Ten Hag and Pochettino. If he comes in as well, I suppose. Hopefully that won't happen. He's 100 miles an hour. He contributes, he gets goals, he gets assists, but his time on the ball is so short. It's always the Hollywood pass, I suppose, or something like that. I think with Bruno, the difference between Bruno and Pogba is sometimes I think Pogba needs to speed his game up, and a lot of the time I think Bruno needs to slow his game down. Bruno is, if you're going for a drive with these two players, Paul Pogba, you've got nice music playing, it's probably a Bentley, you're driving around, nice scenery, really, really relaxing. Bruno, you're in a Formula 1 car whizzing around Silverstone. I think that's how I would describe these two players. Both exciting and both impactful, but in different ways. Bruno plays the game too fast. That leads to a lot of errors. Pogba sometimes plays it a little bit slow, which can lead to him losing the ball. So yeah, look, that's the first bit there. So Pogba actually is more creative. And I bet he's played a lot more less games as well. In fact, he has. Shots per 90. Look, we want goals. Of course we do. No surprise, Bruno's got more goals and he's got more shots as well per 90 as an average. He's averaging 2.2 shots per 90, whereas Pogba's 1.7. Shots on target percentage, I think Bruno's around 32%, Pogba's around 22%. And that fits in with what we think of these players. And what I'm working towards here is my belief that they both should be in the same team, and I'll show you where I think they should be. But we're looking at the comparisons here. Yeah, I don't see Pogba. I think Pogba's got a good shot on him, but I don't see him hitting as many shots as Bruno, and I think that's something that's part of Bruno's game that's probably not as part as Pogba's game. I think when we look at dribbling in a bit, Pogba's more of a dribbler than Bruno. So different strings to different bows, I suppose. Dribbles per 90 is exactly what we're going to look at now, actually, funnily enough. So 2.2 per 90 from Bruno, 4.3 per 90 from Paul Pogba. Their success rate when they're dribbling, 60% success rate in his dribbling for Pogba. 48% for Bruno. And look, Pogba is a better dribbler of the ball than Bruno. He's a better carrier of the ball than Bruno. And I think that fits in with what your stereotypical view would be. Paul Pogba on the ball, I think he'll look for a pass, but he'll also look to carry the ball. Bruno gets the ball, wants to get rid of it. Shot, cross, or a pass. That's what Bruno does. It's quick fire football. And I think he needs to slow his game down. I really do. I think he does. Forward pass completion rate, interesting that actually Bruno, I think volume of pass is playing more per 90, but success rate of a forward pass, 62%, 75% for Pogba. And we're talking about forward pass completion here because we know a lot of CDMs can be up in 90% because they're playing it sideways, 5 yards, no risk. Forward pass completion rate, I think, is more relevant to an attacking midfielder because that's what you want them to do. You want the assists, you want the creativity, you want situations to develop. So Pogba more careful with the ball than Bruno. That won't come as a surprise to anybody. One of the big things that Bruno gets criticised for is the Hollywood pass that doesn't come off. Pogba takes more care of the ball. I think we can see that. Successful attacking actions per 90 is very close. So this would encompass everything. Your key pass, your assist. So successful attacking actions per 90, 3.7 for Bruno, 3.9 for Pogba. Very close, but Pogba just comes out ahead there. And successful defensive actions per 90, so the defensive side of the game, 6.4 for Bruno, 6.8 for Paul Pogba. And I think, look, I don't think there's anything bad about Bruno's things there. Obviously, Paul Pogba's coming out a lot on top. But I think what it does show is that Paul Pogba gets a lot of criticism for his lazy, languid run style, which is his run style. That's, you know, I don't think you can have a go at him for that. For, you know, is he giving everything he wants? But actually, this is this season, and Paul Pogba in these areas is as good or better than Bruno Fernandes on quite a wide range of things. Attacking actions, defensive actions, forward pass completion, dribbling, assists. One of the things I did want to bring in, though, was crosses. So crosses per 90, 3.1 for Bruno, and for Pogba, it's 1. And this is where, for me, cross success rate, 35% for Bruno, 21% for Pogba. So Bruno's averaging 3 crosses per 90 to Pogba's 1. What does that show you there? Bruno Fernandes is actually in the top 20. I think he's about like 18. In the Premier League, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold's number 1, Andy Robertson's number 4 for crosses into the box in the Premier League this season. So Liverpool have got their 2 fullbacks in the top 5 in the Premier League for putting crosses into the box this season. No United fullback is in the top 30, but Bruno is in the top 20, and he's an attacking midfielder. And I think this is where we've gone wrong. Bruno Fernandes, to me, should be playing right midfield. We've had this problem for all season. How do you get Bruno and Pogba in the same team when you want to get Sancho, Rashford, Ronaldo in the same team, and you've got to play McFred because we don't have a CDM? For me, Bruno Fernandes should have been playing where we used to play Juan Mata, right midfield, not to get past the player, but to have the overlapping fullback, to have the ability to put the cross in the box. He has got a defensive work rate and he can score a goal. And I think what we should have done this season is put Paul Pogba as the number 10 or the attacking midfielder with Fred and McTominay protecting him and Bruno to the right. And I've been on about it for weeks. And actually, the stats bear it out. Pogba doesn't put many crosses into the box. Bruno does because he does drift to those wide areas. Bruno's very, very good at key passing and assists and everything like that. And I think that was always the way to use these 2 players. But what do you think? I think that when you compare them on those areas, the potential of Paul Pogba was always higher than Bruno Fernandes. But in a Manchester United shirt, Bruno delivered more regularly than Paul Pogba. That's the bottom line. The better talent is Paul Pogba. The better deliverer consistently was Bruno Fernandes, and that to me was why we should have always been looking to get 2 of these fantastic players into the same team, and we failed. And we put Pogba to the left, and it has worked to a certain extent, but I don't think we ever put Pogba as the more attacking midfielder and Bruno to the right, and I would love to have seen that happen. Maybe Bruno doesn't want to be that, maybe wants to be involved in the middle. We certainly saw Van der Beek never got any opportunities because Bruno played nearly every game. And I think that's a weakness of the United's management and Bruno, that this, relentlessness, I've got to play every game, I've got to be the number 10. His whole game is 100 miles an hour, and it needs to come down to 75 miles an hour. Bruno needs to slow his game down, and I think if he did that, his forward pass completion rate would go up, his assists would go up, and our overall productivity would go up. There's no doubt that Bruno Fernandes is a fantastic player, and I'm happy that he signed a new contract. But his game has got a lot of errors in it. And I think that's been amplified this season in a team that's not very good. He needs to play in a better system and slow his game down a little bit. And I do think he is an asset when he drifts from wide right. And we missed an opportunity there to play Pogba as the more attacking midfield and put Bruno to the right. And they could always swap around a bit as well. Anyway, what are your thoughts head to head? Paul Pogba against Bruno Fernandes. Did we miss a trick, or are we better off without Pogba and sticking with Bruno? Get your comments in below. And remember, our heads to heads from now on will be on the members club. You can click and join. And if you want to vote on what the next head to head's going to be, that will be going up exclusively on our members club later on this week. You can vote on the community tab. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. Get your comments in below. We're back at 7 o'clock live, and United Stand FIFA career mode. Links in the chat. We'll be back at 3 o'clock as well for that. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember, if you want to become a member, click the join button, smash a like on the video, and I'll speak to you all very soon.